Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs that we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video, as I do have a bonus pair in store. Feel free to skip ahead if you want to, using timestamps below. If you want to skip ahead to a particular pair, I will quickly go through my trades for the week, take a look at the DXY, and then we'll progress into the analysis. So I took two positions this week. One was a break even and one was a loss on gold, break even on pound USD. So I did get into some longs and pound. This is basically the setup I was talking about coming into the week. Pound USD was on the watch list, looking for some buys. I got into a trade over here. So the entry is on that hourly candle. We just about came into this swing high over here. So if I mark that on the chart. So basically I was looking for the impulse break and retest of that level and then looking for the continuation. So we came in for a nice retest, got a nice entry signal, hopped into the trade, all was going well, but unfortunately momentum failed to continue. Price respected some resistance, came back against me and took me out for break even. I'm still looking for longs and we'll get into that setup in a moment, but that is what I was looking for on pound USD. So did close that one out as a break even. Gold was looking for some longs as well. We did get that second move down, which I was looking for. However, it looks like I just got into the trade a little bit too early for this one. In terms of my plan, it ticked all the boxes, so I'm happy with that. But of course, looking at the context of the market and a bit of hindsight as well, we can see we are starting to see a bit of upside there. So market wanted to stop me out first before pushing to the upside. Unlucky with that move. I mean, even if I was looking for a re-entry, this happened kind of like towards the daily candle closure, which is when I'm off the charts anyway. So yeah, unfortunate of that position, but happy with the trade, fit the plan very well, but it just wasn't meant to be with that trade. But of course, we'll get into the analysis with gold. I'm still eyeing up the buy positions. If we quickly go into DXY, DXY I've been particularly bearish on. However, due to how things are setting up, how we're reacting at this low, I do think we can see a move higher for the DXY. We may still be putting in a lower high to have that bigger move to the downside, as I've been talking about. We've got one high there. This is a second lower high compared to that first high. Could see a third one and then a bigger drop, and that's kind of what I'm anticipating, although price action is very back and forth, very difficult to analyze really. So I'm kind of just taking it week by week now with DXY, because I don't really have too much of a long-term bias, because it isn't really a clean trend to follow. So for next week anyway, I'm looking for a move higher, and again we can see we are holding on to key support here, and again based on price action as well, strong impulse down, impulse back up. This is looking like a big V-shaped pattern. A lot of consolidation, yes, but I do think we'll eventually break higher. We may have a spike to the downside, maybe fake people out first and then see some upside, but I am looking at a move higher. A couple areas I'm looking at: firstly, this level here, which is what I was talking about last week, and secondly, we may even come up to some areas up there as well, around 105,400. So 104,900, 105,400, those are the two levels I'm expecting price to get to. If we break through this one, then the second one as well I'll be looking at, but at least this level I do think we can get to next week. So at least some upside. We may react and price may come back down, so maybe some weakness towards the end, but I at least do think we'll see some bullish momentum next week for the dollar. So taking that information into Euro USD. Now Euro, I was talking about some buys as well this week, but it didn't really shape how I wanted it to. So I was talking about the retest of this high. Did see price coming to that level, rejected pretty nicely. However, it's just been very sideways and we haven't seen much momentum. So I do think Euro will see another move down. The way I'm looking at price right now is impulse, correction, and I do think we'll see another impulse to the downside. So I'm looking around 1.07800 as an area where price could go and find some support and potentially put another swing low in, which is more or less lining up with the 0.618, pretty much bang on the money. If I quickly scale to the daily time frame, you can see I'm mapping out that low to that high, and basically what I'm looking at is push, pullback, push, possibly another pullback for another push. So I'm still favoring that longer term upside for Euro, but now I'm just looking at deeper push down first before that bullish swing. And again, due to how things are setting up, it does look likely we'll see another move down, especially with dollar looking like it's going to move up high as well. So what I would be looking for, if I was on the lower time frames, I'll be looking at some sells for Euro USD early next week, and then maybe some buys later on, depending how we get there, depending how we react. There might be some nice buys later on. So I'm not too particularly keen on Euro, just because I think the next move will probably be a nice sell-off. I want to retest to that level there. So I think in terms of entries, maybe the hourly, maybe the 30, maybe even 15 will look the best on that. So that's kind of what I'm favoring for gold. Gold, where did that come from? That's what I'm favoring for Euro USD next week. And then if we can get back to these lows, that's when I'll start looking for buys again. Because longer term, I do think we can push up. Like longer term, I think dollar can still fall. But as I said, I'm taking it week by week, see how things develop, because who knows, maybe my bias completely changes by the end of next week. And you've got NFP as well. But for now, I do think Euro is likely to see a move down. So if you're looking at some shorts, I like it, especially how corrective this move is. It does tell me that this most likely is a pullback. So if you can see another spike to the upside, test that level there around 1.087. That could be a nice place for some entries. Ride that down back to lows, maybe this area if you're lucky, and then we can look at some buys later on. So that is the setups I've got for Euro USD next week. Okay, so over to dollar yen. So dollar yen, I am looking for more downside this week. We had a really big sell-off this week for dollar yen, and we cracked through some major support, took out some swing lows. We are coming into a major support on the daily/weekly time frame. So as we can see, we come back into this high here, we just about tested it. So I do think we'll see a bit of relief, some buyers step back into the market, some profit taking from those sells, but I am still looking for another swing lower. However, I do want price to retrace a little bit more. So the area I'm looking to short dollar yen from is this low here. If we can see a pullback into that level, that'd be absolutely fantastic. I'll see how we develop on the hour, look at my entries, and possibly another swing back to where we came from. We're putting in these really nice lower highs, 1, 2, 3, and also seeing some really nice momentum with it. So far, the pullback or the upside move has been quite corrective. So it doesn't really tell me that, dollar yen's about to reverse and fly to the moon. Of course, anything can happen. But looking at the price action, it looks more like a correction, which is obviously a good sign for the bears. And if we do get back to this high, see the necessary entry triggers, I will be looking for some shorts here for a move back to the swing low, back to where we came from at 152. And the key thing is we're taking out some kilos here as well, which is not a good thing for the buyers. Sure, the high time frame is still bullish, still intact. The uptrend hasn't really changed. It's just been a dip in the market. But at least intra-week, intraday, sells do look good when we come up to those areas. So I will take shorts, and then maybe as things develop, maybe I'll start looking for buys again. But for now, what's this? 155.500. Keep an eye on that high. Let's see if we can get a retest of that level and look to swing it back into 152 for next week. Okay, so over to USD CAD. So USD CAD is coming to an area where I do think sellers will be stepping into the market. A lot of buyers will be taking their profit. I do think USD CAD can eventually see a nice move to the downside. However, I do think we'll see a bit more upside first. Again, I'm still looking at dollar strength from the DXY, so I think that will give USD CAD a nudge higher as well. You can see on the weekly chart, really strong close there in the week. So I do think we'll continue to push to the upside. I think this wick high will be taken out as well. I think we already spiked through it, but I do think we'll really push through. But this high up here, 1.39 around, this is a really strong level of resistance, big rejection once, again there as well. I do think there's a good chance we'll get back to that area, and that will be the time to start looking for some sells. So I would avoid looking to sell at this first level. I know price is kind of rejecting it at the moment, and it's a nice level of resistance, but I do think even if we do react, it will be short-lived for price to push up higher. I think this is where the biggest sell will come from for USD CAD. So potentially if things look good there early on, there could be some nice sells, but I would expect price to eventually break through that and the biggest sells to come a little bit higher up, taking out some early sellers, coming to a bigger level there. The market's quite stretched. I think there's a lot going for us at that level in terms of confluence to sell rather than this area here. So if I was looking to trade USD CAD, that's the level I'll be looking at. Again, not really my type of trade. I'm more looking to follow momentum rather than go against it. So other pairs will make my watch list this week. But if you're looking for reversals, USD CAD is in a good area for that to happen. So keep an eye on 1.388 to 1.39 for some sells. I would also say 1.384. But that's kind of what I'm looking at for next week for USD CAD. Okay, so over to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound is in a really nice level for some shorts. This is the level I've been talking about the past couple of weeks as a nice place to short. We did see price react with it the week before, really nice reaction to the downside. I said if we come back up there, that's where you want to be looking for shorts, because down here I feel like the ship is sailed. We did come up one more time. Again, we rejected it again. So there could be some really nice sells there on Friday if you're already in the trade. Fantastic. If not, we may consolidate here, judging the price action. So there could be some more entries on Monday. But effectively, we're looking for that level to hold and price to continue back to lows. I'm looking on the higher time frames for euro pound. Everything still looks pretty bearish to me. We're still seeing lower lows and lower highs. So I'm expecting this momentum to continue. Let me get it to the high. There we go. There we go. So you can see price is rejecting this area multiple times. I'm just looking for that trend to continue. Broken through really key support at 0.85 over here. As we can see, massive support, had a nice break and retest of that. So the market has been slowly falling to the downside, and all I'm looking to do is continue that trend. So the conditions aren't that bad. Euro pound normally isn't great, but at the moment in time, conditions are pretty okay, at least for euro pound anyway. But we're testing a really nice level. You can see the rejection we've had previously here. Now it's flipped resistance again. You can position yourself short here. I think that's a nice place to get involved. Stop loss above the high, and looking to try and catch that next swing low. Hopefully a swing back to 0.838, which is the low there, or wherever you see fit depending on your risk reward. But if the trend's going to continue, there's a good chance we do get back to that low. So that's the analysis I have with euro pounds. But yeah, more shorts. Keep an eye on 0.4350 as a location for some shorts, and yeah, expecting another swing back to the low next week. Okay, so over to Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, I'm expecting more downside this week from this pair. We've had a really big move over the past few days. I'm expecting a bit of a relief, a pullback, and I'm expecting more of the same. You can see if I look at the weekly chart, really strong candle close to the downside. There's a good chance we're probably coming back to support here after taking out major lows. I was looking for Aussie dollar to continue higher this week, but we obliterated the level I was looking to buy from. And now we're seeing key levels breaking as well. So I would expect to see a pullback. You can see the heavy momentum we have there. And the particular areas I'm looking at is a retest of the low here around 0.65785, and also the low here as well. So that's where I'm looking for pullbacks to happen and entries to be placed. Of course, it depends how we get there, depends how we react, but those are the areas I would be keen on shorts for, and hopefully you can see some entries at that particular level. In terms of targets, like I said, we could possibly come back to the low here, but it really depends on the momentum if that sustains, because this is pretty far away, and that could take us still another week or two to get there. But if you're looking for a swing, it makes sense. If you want to keep things simple, if we pull back from here, then that will make for a good target. So if you have a pullback from there, trade it to the low, pull back to there, trade it to low. Makes a lot of sense. But the key thing to note is there's a lot of bearish momentum right now for Aussie dollar. So you just want to see a relief in that, find some entries to take it back down. So that is what I'll be looking at next week for Aussie dollar. Key rejection at that area, and hopefully find some entries shorter on the lower time frames, preferably hourly, and take advantage of that risk reward. So keep an eye on 0.657 and 0.662. But I will be expecting more downside next week. Okay, so moving on to NZD CAD. So I still do see more downside for this one, even after the drop we've had this week. I was looking at support here for a possible move higher, but we failed to hold that level. So I would expect price to continue with that momentum after a pullback at least. And the next big low on the daily chart would be this swing low here at 0.80680. So that's possibly where we could be headed to next. NZD CAD has been a little bit choppy, but you can see we had a big fake out those highs, and now we're seeing a lot of momentum after that. So there's a good chance we'll probably see price continue in that direction. So if we can drop to 4-hour hourly charts, you can probably look for some pullbacks onto some levels, and the same area I was talking about support could be now flipped as resistance. So 0.8223-224. If we could see some pullbacks there, that'd be fantastic. And then some shorts there do look good. NZD and Aussie have been very, very weak. So I do expect to see some type of relief on those pairs. It's a bit far of a pullback, but again, especially with this momentum, especially with the market being so stretched, I'm not going to be looking to take shorts down at these lows here. I do need to see price pull back, and then we can look for some opportunities. A retest of this low would be very nice, but I'm not too sure we get there. So I'm looking at the high on the daily chart over here to be flipped as resistance again. It was resistance over here and acted pretty well, so looking for that to happen again, and then hopefully some continuations back to that low. So that is the plan I've got for NZD CAD. But of course, it depends how we pull back and how you get there as well in terms of entries. But that is what I'll be looking at for NZD CAD going into the new week. Okay, so for GBP NZD, we've had a big rally on the weekly, daily charts. You can see the momentum here. I do expect eventually us to put a top and see some downside. It's just where that top will form. And again, if I look at the higher time frames, weekly, monthly chart, we haven't been at these prices for a very long time. So it's not necessarily that we're looking to the left and finding some levels here, because we haven't traded these prices since 2016. So I do expect us to run out of steam at some point, probably next week. We'll have to find out. But the key thing is I want to see price fading at highs, forming some double tops, breaking structure, for that to indicate to me that price is running out of that bullish momentum and we're likely to reverse. Right now, the market's just breaking high after high after high and still continuing at the moment. We are starting to struggle now. You can see price is kind of consolidating here, but I need a lot more than that before I would expect the market to reverse. So if you can start seeing some downside, coming back, respecting the highs, that's what I'll be looking for. Breaking some lows out, that would be fantastic. And then we can probably anticipate the market to continue lower. And in terms of targets, we've got the prior high, which we broke through, never had a retest of, so that will become an interesting target for us. A bit more longer term, we can look at this high here as well. Those are some nice targets to trade to, because of course price can find support there and possibly continue higher as well. But yeah, pound NZD, we do want to see some signs of the markets failing to push higher. So in terms of setups, very theoretical. It depends how everything sets up, but this is roughly something I would look for to take some shorts and take some and take advantage of that counter trend move. But again, we could still push higher, so we really have to stay alert and see what the market is giving us. If things look like we are topping out, then yes, we can start looking to take some shorts. First target 2.15. We can also look at this area here as well, and then we can discuss some levels down there if we push that far into 2.12. But that will be the plan next week for pound NZD. Okay, so over to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, big drop this week to the downside, breaking through some key lows as well, similar to dollar yen as well. I do think we'll probably see some upside sooner or later, because the market is very stretched here. We fell to the downside very quickly, very impulsively, so the market is likely going to see some upside at some point. You're already seeing some signs of that as well. I do like this level here around 113, really strong support. Hopefully that could be flipped as resistance and possibly a great place for some entries to continue that move to the downside. So the setup is very similar to as we spoke in dollar yen, and when we get to pound yen, you'll see as well. Setup is very similar, but we still are printing these lower highs here on the 4 hour and really nice momentum there. So looking at corrective pullback, us to get back to that high, and then we'll look to take some shorts if we look good at that level, see some nice entries, and possibly a swing back to the low. Whether we get all the way there, it's up to the market. We trading stops, but that is in theory what I'll be looking for, another low high, and just to continue that momentum. Of course, again, similar to dollar yen, higher time frames, the trend hasn't necessarily reversed. I'm just looking to ride that momentum at the moment, and then we'll see how things go. Like I said, maybe I'll be looking for buys soon after, but for now, if you do see a pullback off that level, I am going to be eyeing up some shorts on the retest of that level and targets back at that low, back to where we came from. So that's the plan next week for CAD Yen. Okay, so over to pound USD. So pound USD, we're coming into some nice levels of support, which make good for some long opportunities, as we can see here on the daily chart. Really nice break to the upside, a lot of momentum there, and now we're slowly pushing back into this level here. So What was resistance, of course, is now going to be acting as support, and this will be a great place for some buys. Although I do think we can probably see some upside on the DXY, which does kind of contradict upside on pound USD as well. We'll see how the price action looks next week for pound USD. If we start breaking through, of course, we'll reanalyze and go from there. But if it does look like price is rejecting that area, potentially my bias is incorrect on the dollar, then we could see some upside. But we're definitely in an area where buying does make sense, and I wouldn't want to be looking to sell pound USD anyway, especially after such a big move, and now we're coming back into higher time frame levels of support. So what I would be looking for pound is to see how we react in here, again similar to the position from earlier in the week. See if you can look at something similar again in this area, try and take a buy, and possibly swing back to the high there. If the trend wants to continue, that's probably where we're going to end up. So it's still a very nice place for a buy. Again, if dollar is going to be strong, then we're probably just going to break through, probably not going to get entry signal anyway, and we can focus on some other opportunities. But for now, this is still a really nice place for a buy. So we'll see what we do during the week, and we'll be looking to see if we can swing it back to the high there at 1.30381. So that is the plan next week for pound USD. Okay, so for pound CAD, we've hit some big levels of resistance here on the higher time frame. So I do think it's coming up to a time where we're going to see a bit of a pullback, some downside. I know the trend's been very much up. We've been very bullish from pound CAD, but now the market is coming back to the high here. I do think we'll probably see some profit taking and eventually see price take a bit of a breather. We may still break through, of course, but I do think we can see some downside. So similar to pound NZD, another market that is flown to the upside. I do think if we can just start to wait for some rejection, some break of structure, then we can start to look to take some sells. So as you can see at the moment, it does look like price is struggling at that high there, which is a good sign, showing us that, okay, we're failing to break higher. But if you can see something like this, take out that low, that'd be fantastic. And that will leave behind us a really nice level to short from on a pullback, and maybe ride this back to the prior low here, around 1.76, we'll call it. So again, quite theoretical this setup, because things can change. Maybe we might break the high next week, so we have to stay on our toes. But if we can see a move down, break through some lows, that would be my number one opportunity for some sells, because at that point I know that we've already seen some conviction. All I'm looking to do is try and ride that momentum and continue, because right now the market is still very bullish, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were to break the high as well. We're seeing some evidence we're struggling, which is good, but I need to see a little bit more than that before I do take shorts in such a bullish market. So the plan is for pound CAD, let's see if we can break the low, look for a break and retest, and then find some entries, and this high makes up for a good target just below 1.76. So that'll be the plan next week for pound CAD. Okay, so over to pound yen. So pound yen, another yen pair. And as you can see, we have seen so much momentum to the downside for this one as well. So the plan is very much the same as with CAD yen, as with dollar yen. We're looking for some upsides and pullbacks, a lower high to come into place, and then looking for some shorts to continue that momentum. So we've had a bit of a pullback right now. Things are looking quite corrective. Wicks to the upside, wicks down, which is good. It means that price is struggling to push up, and we're not kind of flying up, because that would be a sign of something else. But right now we're kind of struggling to push up, which is good. So if you can push a little bit higher up, test around 200, which is the high here, looking for that to hold resistance as well. I would like a retest of this low, but again, I'm asking a lot for a pullback to that high. So this is a bit more realistic, and still a good level to short from as well. So if you can see price get there, that will be very much appreciated. We'll see how price reacts. Again, if we see some nice entry signals, I'll look to take the trade. Again, I'm just looking for the best yen pair. I'm not trying to trade them all, but if pound yen looks really good, then of course I'll take that one. And again, keeping things very simple, back to the swing low. And also keeping in mind that, again, even though with all this very bearish momentum we've had over the past few days, the trend in the high time frames hasn't really changed yet. So, you know, I'm looking at this. This is still very much an uptrend, and we can still put a higher low in somewhere and push up again. So the key thing is not to try and push the trade too far, and keep it sensible with the sells, even on the lower time frames as well, because we could kick back bullish at any point really. So for now, looking at some shorts, taking it back to the low, and then we see where we can go from there. But area of interest is just around 200.5, and looking to short back to 196.50 500 for next week. Okay, so over to gold. So gold, I'm still looking for some upside as we approach 2360, 2350, even 2330 down there. I am expecting to see some upside. However, gold is coming quite corrected right now. As you can see, we create a high, come back down, create a high, come back down, create another high, come back down. Not really the healthiest uptrend anymore. So maybe it's a sign that gold is running out some steam. Maybe eventually you might take a big sell-off. But for now, this is definitely bullish territory for us. So this is the area I would still be looking to buy from. We already had a nice reaction originally. So if you come back down, double bottom there, I would look for some entries. Same over here as well. That would be a nice place for a buy too. It just depends in which level gold wants to push to the upside from. I've drawn a nice Fibonacci. They kind of line up pretty well with my areas. So again, from the low to the high, you can see 0.618 at that level, 0.786 down there. So if you do push a little bit deeper, I would also consider a buy from that area. In terms of targets, again, just looking for push back to the high here. I wouldn't be so greedy as a swing back to the high, because as I said, there's some signs that the market may not continue back to that high, particularly on the weekly chart as well, where we're seeing really aggressive wicks to the upside, which is not, again, a good sign of a trend that wants to really continue. It could still happen, but as a trader, I've just got to trade the opportunity and not try and trade, best case scenario. So I'll be trading stops anyway, but realistically, this is be a smart place for a target if you are looking just to put a TP in and get out of the trade. So yeah, keep an eye on 2360, 2335. Nice areas for a long. We're back in some resistance now, so it wouldn't make much sense looking to buy. If anything, there might be some short-term sales back into that level, but I'll stay focused on the longs, and hopefully we can see a big push back into that high there, around 2430, 2440, and then maybe we can discuss some sales later on. But for now, that is my bias going into next week. Okay, so if we have a look at Bitcoin, you can see we are starting to move back to the upper end of that descending channel. So we had a really nice rejection at that low around 54, 55K. Now price is pushing back to the upper end. So this for me is make or break for Bitcoin. If we do see a strong break of this high, I think we're on our next wave. Really nice impulse over here. This is our correction of that. And now possibly we might be in that next wave of another big impulse, maybe another big bull run, possibly to your to 100K maybe and beyond. So we could be really seeing a massive breakout if we do see price clear 70K. On the other hand, if we don't see that and price does reject it again, like we did over here and there as well, then we're probably going to roll back to where we came from, 54, 55K, and possibly even break through that as well. So this is kind of make or break. If you're looking for shorts, this makes for a nice place for that. If you're looking for longs, you kind of want to see price break, retest that, and then look for some entries on the other side for some buys. So I'll be keeping a very close eye on this area, because depending how we react will tell me most likely what gold wants, gold, I keep saying gold, most likely what Bitcoin wants to do for the next maybe few weeks. So definitely keep a close eye on that. Not quite there yet, still got another kind of push in us, so probably might do that early next week, and then we'll see what price does. If we start rejecting, then yeah, it might be a sign that price wants to roll over. I'm not quite sold on it yet, because Bitcoin sometimes has a mind of itself. You could just see a big candle breaking through and that's it. Bitcoin's gone. But at the same time, you could see a big wick, price trying to break through, fails, and then we roll over. So keep a very close eye on this area. If you're looking for sells, it makes a lot of sense. This is where you're looking for entries. You can look for entries in the 4-hour, daily chart. I wouldn't really drop below the 4-hour, but of course that'll be up to you. And yeah, same kind of area for the buys as well. It just depends if we break and retest or just reject. But either which way, a really pivotal area for Bitcoin. So keep a close eye on it. Okay, so last but not least, we've got our bonus pair, which for this week is CAD CHF. So for this one, I'm looking for more downside. Again, if I start with higher time frames, you can see overall the trajectory of the market is still very bearish. We're still seeing consistent lower lows and lower highs. And to me, it looks like price is going to have another go at retesting the lows and maybe creating some new ones. Last time I checked, these are all-time lows. Yes, is it? It appears to be, well, at least till 1982. somewhat it is the all-time low. So I would expect this to be the all-time low, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were to create some new ones. So the plan is for CAD CHF to be looking for more shorts. We had a really nice follow through the past couple of weeks, so looking for a bit of a breather, a bit of a pullback, and looking for more momentum in that same direction. You can see on the daily / 4-hour chart, I've marked out this low here. That would be a very nice place to short from should the market get there. Nice corrective pullback, looking for some shorts there. As we can see, really nice momentum, quick correction, really nice momentum as well. So I'm looking for a slightly deeper correction and expecting for a price to be on our way again to the downside. Targets back to the low makes a lot of sense, but again, there's a good chance we get to the low here as well and try and create some new all-time lows too. So it's up to you what the risk rewards you're looking for, how aggressive you want to be with your positions. But in terms of an opportunity to continue the trend, continue momentum, this is a really nice chart. CHF has been very, very strong across the board really, and I would expect that to continue. Sure, we probably have a breather, and I want to see one because I want to see some pullbacks. It's not only CAD CHF, which I would look to short, but it looks the best out of the CHF pairs for me. So I will be heavily focused on this one next week. But yeah, if we can get back to 0.64300, looking for some entries and a push back to the low here at 0.636, and eventually the all-time low at 0.63 will be the plan next week for CAD CHF. But that does take us to the end of the video, guys. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Comment down below any markets you are looking to trade next week. I want to find out. But besides from that, guys, have a fantastic day, fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.